Hey guys, hope you guys had a great holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. Hope you got to have some great time with friends and family and just a good week overall. So it's time to kick up this video. I decided that I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Because it's almost the new year, I wanted to do a New Year's TBR type of a thing. So what I want to do is, I decided that the easiest way for me to get through my TBR, because I am so undecisive and I have so many books, I can't really figure out what I want to read. I decided that the best way for me to do it is to go by month. Decide what books I want to read every month and stick to that. And right now, I picked out 10 books to read for the month of January, and I am hoping that I will stick to that and not differ. But we'll see. Right now, like I said, I've chosen 10. I should be able to read a lot more than that in a month. I didn't want to overwhelm myself, so I wanted to start with 10 that I for sure want to read, and then if there's any other ones on top of that, I can just choose them as I feel like reading them. So I'm going to start off with 10. If I read more, then great. But until I can get an idea of how many books I read a month, then I'm just going to start with 10. I think that's a fair number. I can definitely get through 10. I am going to show you the books that I want to read. I'm going to hopefully start these by around the 1st of Jan. And as I read them, I will update you guys and let you know how I finished it, when I finished it, what I'm going to be reading next, and I'll do a review on the book if you guys wish that. So I'm just going to jump right into these and show you what I want to read. These are in no particular order. I don't know which orders I'm going to pick them up in when I decide to read them. So one book I want to read again, and this doesn't necessarily have to be the first book I'm going to read in the month, is Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier. I don't think I have to explain this one too much. I don't really know what it's about. I just know that it's about a girl who time travels, and she doesn't really know what's happening because her parents thought that she didn't get the time traveling gene that runs into her family, and turns out she did get the gene, and that's about all I know. I just want to read it because I've heard a lot of hype on YouTube, and pretty much everybody's talking about it, and I've never heard anything bad about this book. And I want to start getting into more YA, because I kind of thought that I was a little too old for YA, and it's just too childish for me. But I read The Book Thief this year, and that was one of my favorite books. And Harry Potter is my favorite books of all time, and obviously those are middle grade. So yeah, I decided I could give it a chance because I don't read that much YA, and because of this whole booktube universe stuff, I'm starting to learn what books are good in the YA genre that people would recommend. Yeah, so that's Ruby Red, and I'm going to try and pick up the other two in case I like it. Next book is The Book of Air and Shadows by Michael Gruber, and this is a New York Times bestseller. A lot of the times I will pick up a book at the bookstore that I see that is on sale just because it's a New York Times bestseller, even if I don't know anything else about it, because I read a lot of New York Times bestsellers, and I've never read one that I haven't liked, not once. So I feel like they definitely always deserve their title. I will just read the back of it to you because I don't even really remember what it's about. I've just had this on my bookshelf for a long time, and it's time to read it. A fire destroys a New York City rare bookstore and reveals clues to a treasure worth killing for. A disgraced scholar is found tortured to death, and those pursuing the most valuable literary find in history are about to cross from the harmless mundane into inescapable nightmare. It's a New York Times bestseller, and those have never ever let me down. So that sounds exciting. The next one you've probably all heard of, or most of you. It's by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's Love in the Time of Cholera. I have not seen the movie of this, so I really do not have any expectations going in. I really do not know what it's about. I've heard about it. I've never heard anything bad about it. It sounds like it's a love story. Sounds like a guy falls in love with this girl, but she falls in love with somebody else and chooses to marry somebody else, and then when her husband dies, he comes back to try and fall in love with her, trying to get her love again. I mean, I'm not really big on romance novels and stuff, but like I said, I've heard of it, and if they made it into a movie, it can't be that bad, right? Next one is another one that I've actually had on my TBR for a long time. I had it on my Amazon TBR, and it's been a book I've been wanting. It is by Robin Antalik. It is A Summer We Fell Apart. I will read the back of this one to you too, because it's really interesting. It's very short. It says, the children of a once brilliant playwright and a struggling actress, the four Haas siblings grew up in chaos, raised in an environment composed of neglect and glamour in equal measure. When their father dies, they must depend on their intense but fragile bond to remember what it means to be family despite years of anger and hurt. These brothers and sisters are painfully human, sometimes selfish, and almost always making the wrong decisions. But their endearing struggle provide laughter through tears, something anyone who's ever had a sibling can relate to. So it kind of sounds like one of my favorite books of all time, which is The Kindness of Strangers by Katrina Kittle. That is an adult book that has a really mature subject matter. This sounds similar in the fact that there's kids that grow up in chaos and neglect, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the home. So that's why I had this one on my TBR, and I'm really looking forward to it. Next one is a book that I was actually sent for review. So this one is by Angela Carrell. It's called Grounded, and this one sounds really interesting. It says, New York City flight attendant Annie Taylor is grounded, putting a halt to her weekends in Rome and jet-setting lifestyle. Soon her boyfriend's true nature is revealed, and to make matters worse, she loses her apartment. In the midst of her crushing life, Annie leaves the city for the family farm in Kentucky, a place she's avoided for years. She finds a shotgun-wielding grandmother, a farm in disrepair, and a suspicious stranger renting the old stone house. The country quiet haunts Annie with reminders of a past that can't be changed. She tries persuading her ailing grandmother to sell the farm, but is met with stubborn refusal. Childhood friend Jake Wilder is contemplating a leap off the corporate ladder to follow his passion for sustainable farming. Nearly ready to propose to Camille, a girl who wants more, not less, Annie believes Jake is making a terrible mistake. After all these years, does she have the right to tell him? As the summer heats up, so do Annie's unexpected feelings for Jake and her love for the land. She sees a glimmer of hope for a second chance, but just as she is finding common ground with her grandmother, a phone call from New York forces her to choose between the past and the future. So this is one of the books I have to review that sounds super, super interesting, and it would have been a book that I probably would have picked out on my own from the bookstore. Next one, I'm sure all of you have heard of, so I'm not going to really go into too much detail. It's Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. And again, this is a YA because I'm trying to get into more. All I really know about this is it is a girl who finds out she's a witch, and she gets into trouble by some kind of school prank that she does, and she gets sent to a reform school. And it's just about her life in that school and the relationships that she makes. Next one, I'm sure all of you have heard of, so I'm not going to really go into too much detail. It's Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. And again, this is a YA because I'm trying to get into more. All I really know about this is it is a girl who finds out she's a witch, and she gets into trouble by some kind of school prank that she does, and she gets sent to a reform school, and it's just about her life in that school and the relationships that she makes. And that's pretty much all I know. It actually sounds really similar to the TV show American Horror Story Coven. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. It's a show about witches with Emma Roberts. Julia Roberts' niece is in it, and Jessica Lange maybe is also in it. And and it's a pretty good show, and there's pretty much a girl who, her power is that she can kill boys by being intimate with them, and she never knew that until she tried to get intimate with her boyfriend. So because she killed him, her parents kind of found out that she was a witch, and they sent her to this reform school for troubled kids, which is, to the outside world, is for troubled kids, but it's really for young witches, for them to learn how to control their powers. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. She meets some friends that get her in trouble. Some of the girls there get her in trouble. Some of the girls are bad influences. Some of them she becomes friends with. So it kind of sounds really similar to that, and I really liked American Horror Story Coven, so it sounds interesting. Next is Crooked Letter by Tom Franklin, and this is another one that I've had on my list forever and I've been wanting to read. In the 1970s, Larry Ott and Silas Jones were boyhood pals in a small town in rural Mississippi. Their worlds were as different as night and day. Larry was a child of lower middle class white parents, and Silas the son of a poor black single mother. But then Larry took a girl to a drive-in movie, and she was never seen or heard from again. He never confessed, and he was never charged. More than 20 years have passed. Larry lives a solitary, shunned existence, never able to rise above the whispers of suspicion. Silas has become the town constable, and now another girl has disappeared, forcing two men who once called each other friend to confront a past they've buried for decades. So this sounds like a mystery, suspenseful, kind of dark and scary-ish type of book, and I really am into those. I'm really into crime novels, and suspense type of novels, and ones that really like keep you on your feet. And it's a New York Times bestseller again. Another one that doesn't require explanation, Looking for Alaska, John Green. I've heard that Looking for Alaska is a good one, and this was one that I was actually able to find on sale for $2, and it's in like really good condition. So because I was able to find it, this is the only John Green book I've ever been able to find on sale, because these get snatched up really quick. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. So because I was able to find that, this is the one I've decided I'm going to read. I don't think I need to go into description on that, because that'll just make this video a lot longer. If you do want to know about it, then just let me know, and I will tell you guys in another video or something, or maybe I'll make a review of it after I've read it. And so the next two are on my Kindle, and I have a lot of books on my Kindle, and I've wanted to read, I think I want to read more, but at the same time I need to dwindle down my pile of physical books that I have, because I don't even have any bookshelf space anymore. I literally have books piled in boxes on the floor because I don't have the space. I just don't anymore. And so if I dwindle those down, then obviously that means less books, and my Kindle books are never, you know, doesn't matter how many I have, they're never gonna get bigger. But I do want to read some books on my Kindle because I have so many. So I picked 2 on the Kindle. I might pick more next month. It just depends what I feel like. So the first one is Andrew Smith's Winger, and I don't know too much about this one, except it is YA, and it's about a 14-year-old boy, although, I mean, look at him. He does not look 14 to me at all. I'm sorry, but no, he doesn't. I would say maybe 17, 18, he doesn't look 14. A 14-year-old boy who, I guess, plays rugby and goes to boarding school, and he, like, falls in love with his best friend, but his best friend doesn't like him, and then his roommate is a bully on the rugby team. That's really all I know. Other than Harry Potter, I've never read a book about boarding school. I don't know what to expect, how it's going to be going in, but I've heard a lot of people talk about this, especially Raylene from Pad, Foot and Prongs 07. She seems to love this book, and I've heard other people talk about it too. So I thought, why not give it a chance? And the final book, it is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and this is supposed to be a notable book of the year, or one of the year's top bestsellers or something, and I happened to find it on a Kindle Daily Deal for $4. I don't really, again, know what this book is about at all, other than it's about a boy who survives an accident that kills his mom. He has to learn to survive without his mother, and the only connection that he has to her is a painting of a goldfinch. And that's all I know. I've heard a lot about it. It's supposed to be one of the best books of the year. It was a highly anticipated novel to come out because apparently Donna Tartt He's a pretty good author. If you have any questions about any of the books, if you've read any of them, you like them, you don't like them, let me know below. Let me know what you think. I think I want to make this a regular thing. Like I said, I'll start off maybe for a couple months with 10 books on my TBR. And then if I realize, you know, I'm averaging 15 books or 20 books a month, then I might start upping it a little bit. But at least right now, I'm planning on reading these 10, and then if I finish these, then I will just pick some from my shelf randomly, whatever I happen to be in the mood for. So please like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, please just leave them below, and I will see you guys next time. I will let you know when I read these books. See ya.